In this skill focus activity, we are going to take a look at varied topic descriptors. So this one is called 6 Ways to Vary, and it addresses the 6 ways that we can refer to a topic in writing and without saying the topic name over and over. So an example of that is instead of saying penguins live in the Arctic, penguins are really fast swimmers. Penguins are interesting birds that cannot fly, right? You hear me say penguins, penguins, penguins at the start of all my sentences. And while that is okay, it's not very interesting and it creates a pattern. And so we really, in writing with design, say it's really not okay. So we teach 6 strategies to vary how we reference the topic. So in the designs, you'll see what we call varied topic descriptors. And that's just a fancy way of saying, how else can we say the topic name without actually saying the topic name? So we teach students 6 additional ways to refer to the topic. And the goal is that these just naturally start to show up in their writing. And you can also do this activity with your children, with your students, to just help them think about a topic and think about other ways to reference it, other ways to describe it. So the 6 ways are right here on the slide. And really there's 3, right? We have pronouns, we have varied topic references, and then we have a part or an element. And then we can add transition words to each of those. So that's how we get the full 6, because we don't need a transition word at the start of every sentence, but we do really like to have transition words there. So these are the same 6, they're just laid out now classifying design. So here they're in a brainstorming design, which is just kind of all the bubbles around. And then here we have our classifying design. So we have columns for each. And what's nice about this is you really can now go through each of them and think about what would a pronoun be? What would a transition and a pronoun be for the different topic or for the topic that you're working on? So let's jump down here to this one. If we are taking a look at a pencil sharpener, just as an example of a topic that we might write about, for the pronoun, it's just it, right? Our other choices would be she, he, or they. And in this case, our pencil sharpener is an it. Transition plus pronoun, we're going to pull from our transition list. So these are resources right here on these slides that you are welcome to use. You look at what's the purpose of the transition. What am I trying to do? Am I adding information? Am I comparing? Am I contrasting? What's my goal of the transition? What's its signal? And then you can see the different word choices. And I've provided both the emerging list as well as the developing list. So you'll see developing is 2 pages. There's a lot of other choices as well. So even if you just stick to this page, you'll have plenty to pull from as you get going with this activity, and then students can certainly branch off into the others. But here you see additionally, and that's the same one that we pulled in here. Now, the vivid topic reference, that's one that's a little bit tricky to do. And what we want to think about is using this or these and then an adjective, and then the category or group that it belongs to. So what is a pencil sharpener? Well, it's a device, right? And it's an electrical device at that, and then it's a singular one. So we say this electrical device. So again, this or these, an adjective, and then the group that it belongs to, the group or the category that it belongs to. Okay. So I'm going to put that just down in here so we have that as our little model here. This or these plus an adjective plus the group or category that it belongs to. Okay, so that's the formula for create. Again, we have a transition in front of it, and then we have a part or an element. So in this case, I want to focus in on the motor of our pencil sharpener. And so again, I've got another transition here. I think I might change this out though, just to be a little bit more exciting here. So let's go over here and maybe I'll say something like clearly, or for example, if I wanted to go into a little bit more in terms of if I was using the motor as an example in my writing. So this is a little bit arbitrary in the sense of we don't know exactly what our sentences are going to be and we're just choosing a transition. But what this is getting students to do that's helpful is using transitions off of these lists and thinking about what might I put at the beginning of my sentence to kind of transition into a sentence about a part. I don't know exactly what my writing is going to be, and maybe it won't fit when I get into my writing, but at least we've got a placeholder and an example of a transition that they can come in and change. So maybe we'll even do sometimes, right? Like sometimes the motor quits, right? That especially in very special moments in classrooms, right? We might say that sometimes the motor quits. Okay, perfect. So we've got a few different examples here that we can go from just as a model for us. And so what I would like to do is show you right now how we can work on one about the sunlight. Okay, so we're going to do a pronoun for the sunlight. Remember, our choices would be it, she, he, or they. And I think there are definitely times where sunshine could be assigned a gender in the sense of personification. But in this case, since we're just writing about sunlight, probably in a more scientific way, we're going to go with it. Okay. And so now we need to choose a transition. Let's go over to here and maybe we'll say, clearly it, or said differently it, if in terms of if we were going to explain what the sunlight was all about. So I might do that, said differently it, and then I might launch into a more clarifying statement about it. All right, a vivid topic reference. This is my favorite. Let me go back to this slide and I'm just going to pull our little way that we do these right here and pop that in right here so that we have it as a model for us. And so if I said this, like warming glow, that could work. This, maybe it's not peaceful, right? All these pictures make me think of like sunrises and full times of sunlight, but maybe if you think about a glaring hot summer, right? This scorching, spell it correctly, there we go. This scorching laser beam, right? So a couple different ways here of referring to sunlight that definitely have a different connotation to it, right? Either it's something very nice that we want to be in or something that we want to get out of, right? And so now we need to add a transition here. So I might say clearly as one where I'm kind of emphasizing the information. So clearly this warming glow. All right, and then a part or an element. Well, as I look at these pictures, I definitely see like the individual beams coming through. Sunlight doesn't have too many parts to it, so but even the warmth of it is an element to it, right? Or the brightness of it would be another element. Ooh, so maybe we could do the brightness. What if we said the blinding brightness? If we were not enjoying the sun, or if we were, we might say something like the illuminating light, kind of like glow over here too. We'll go with light, the illuminating beams. There we go. All right, and then one more transition. So I'm gonna go back over here and maybe I'll say, let's go always. Ooh, always the illuminating beams. I like that. Okay, always, comma, the illuminating beams. Okay, so in the rest of these slides here, you have additional topics. So it tells you what the topic is here, and then you've got some pictures that go along with it. So we've got fossils, we've got ice cream, we've got islands, and redwoods, which personally are some of my favorite trees in the whole world. So if you aren't familiar with any of these, or if you want to find out more information about how else we could refer to islands, let this be an opportunity for you to go online and just look at articles and look for really descriptive words, other ways that they reference the topic, and you'll start to see that this is in a lot of informational writing pieces. And it's a really important skill for students to be able to do, to just take a topic and come up with these 6 different ways, just like we did on sunlight, because it helps them stay fresh in their writing and in their speaking so that they're not just saying sunlight, sunlight, sunlight in all of their sentences. So very topic descriptors are incredibly powerful. They are also necessary in writing to just make sure that the sentences flow. It is a wonderful way to also work on transitional words and phrases being brought into sentences. So we've got a whole lot of great things happening in this activity. And so I just really encourage you to try this out. You can do this on everyday objects. You can pull out a mug out of the cupboard. You can have mandarins for everyone to try. You can take off somebody's shoe and describe it. So it can be everyday objects as and certainly it can also be about academic topics as well. So we like to vary and do it around both real world and kind of everyday objects that are around us, as well as more academic topics, so that students are seeing how they can use this across the board when they are writing. And with these descriptive words and with pulling and adjectives, don't forget about thesaurus.com. It's a wonderful resource for you to go to and type in the word light or glow or warm and find some additional synonyms to just help language continue to grow. All right, thanks so much for joining in, and I can't wait to see your very topic descriptors. Happy writing.